Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into Talkin Chalk Week 4. I am your host, Alex Kloje, and once more, I am joined by my colleagues over at the Sports Agen in Rome. How's it going, Rome?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. How you guys doing?
Good, man. And also Brian. Brian, what's going on,
What's going on?
man? Nothing much, man. So, guys, we are gradually easing into Week 4 of college football. So we have a slight sense of who's real, who's not real. Team identities are starting to come to the forefront. And there's no doubt that within these first, next coming weeks, that we're going to see, who's real, who's not, pretenders, contenders, so on and so forth. But frankly, we endured our first week of college football chaos this past Saturday, and it primarily stems from the SEC. You look at Ole Miss traveling to Tuscaloosa, upending Nick Saban in Alabama. You had LSU trounce Auburn, sending Gus Malzahn and War Eagle to bench their starting quarterback in Jeremy Johnson. So Sean White's going to get the start this Saturday versus Mississippi State. And how about Texas Tech head coach Cliff Kingsbury taking a few shots at Arkansas head coach Brett Bielema after the Red Raiders gave the Razorbacks their second consecutive loss in as many weeks. And then, guys, if you look
At home.
out,
At home. Don't forget that. At
yeah,
home.
I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is just the new era of head coaching, in my opinion. He's just a young guy. He's an altruistic guy. He's a player's coach, and I frankly think that he was justified in saying that. If you want to run your mouth in the off season and you don't show up, then frankly you deserve it. And and then guys on the West Coast in your confines, it was merely a mirror image of what happened in the SEC. You look at Stanford waltzing into the Coliseum and edging Southern Cal as 9.5-point underdogs. You had BYU nearly pull off its third miraculous upset, falling just short to UCLA out in Pasadena. And then I know it's not significant news, but Arizona State has yet to get off to a fast start so far to kick off 2015. And something tells me that Tempe this weekend, Saturday, they're going to be hosting Sark and the Trojans, and they're going to need one if they want to make an impression this week. So let's throw all that aside, guys. I'm sure we have a ton of stuff to get to. Let's skim over these plays of the day that we released last week. And Brian, let's start with you. We gave out 5 plays of the day, went around the horn last week, and gave our 5 best. And why don't you give us a short synopsis of how you fared via wins and losses last week, Brian?
If you want a short synopsis of what took place, it was utter chaos and utter wanting to break things. We had Colorado State, who was up 14-0 at one point in time, and they lost by 3 in overtime, missing field goals. Should have won that game. You got Western Kentucky up 28-17 at the half. Dowdy comes out and throws 2 picks in the third quarter, gives up the lead, loses the game by 3. You have Kentucky, who holds Florida scoreless in the second half, gets in the red zone multiple times, and all they can stumble up is 3 field goals the entire game. Trying to think what else I had in the play. It was just an utter I'm pretty sure I'm 0-5 on the play of the days. It was just
Duke and Northwestern.
I had Duke, who was up at the half by 7-3 or more than that. Might have been a touchdown. And in the second half, completely shit the bed and let Northwestern just dominate the game and lost by 9, 19-10. And I don't even want to think of what the 5th one was. It was just not even just that. Is what the plays I put on Twitter. I would have went 9-5, I think, if I played first half onlys. I had so many I had Miami blow a 23-point fourth quarter lead, and I had Cal blow a 21-point fourth quarter lead, and a 4th and 15 with less than a minute to go to lose the spread when they're up 7. It was one of the most disgusting Saturdays I can remember, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Brian, because I always tell people I'd rather have a team that I bet on just be completely shellacked in the first half, so I don't have to watch the game. But you get that first half, and you say you have an underdog who's up or a favorite that's just cruising, and it just brings in so much false hope, and it's so easy to kind of put that betting slip right in your pocket and think you have it sealed away. And I know how that feels having multiple multiple teams just completely blow it. And so moving on to Rome, you had 5 as well. How did things go last week?
Hey guys, yeah. So last week was a bit of a tough week. I think for a lot of folks, definitely some big upsets. So just considering the PODs, my first biggest, boldest, most ignorant selection was Illinois. Big loser going into North Carolina, getting shellacked, 48-14. I thought the entire energy, momentum of the game changed. Right, first drive of the game, Illinois drove right down. They were about to score. They were literally on the 1-yard line. I walked out to do laundry. I come back, and North Carolina was already up like by 1 or 2 touchdowns, and I was like, "What the hell just happened?" So, anyways, that was just a complete whiff. Moving on, I did I mentioned Tennessee. I didn't even know what the number was. I didn't even know who the opponent was. It was purely just a spot game at home. I'd like them to win no matter what the number was, and they did. I mean, the number was like 35 or something. They still won by 45. I was definitely big on Ole Miss, and I'm glad to say that I was on the right side on that. Very entertaining game, wild game. I'm sure we all remember seeing the highlights with that pass that got tipped off of like the Ole Miss or the Alabama defender, and then whichever receiver it was, miraculous catch, took it to the house. Really a great game to watch, and I'm glad that it turned out the way that it did. I was kind of talking about LSU. I was kind of building myself up like I was going to take them. I was much more confused and much more disorganized or unorganized last week. I promise you guys it's not going to happen again this week. But yeah, LSU, I was kind of leaning on them. I did end up betting that game. They ended up doing great. Leonard Fournette, guys, this guy is just unreal. So we can talk about him later. And then I also was liking Georgia Tech to go on the road into Notre Dame and to take that game. If you bet the over, I believe the over would have actually, now I'm not sure if the over would have covered 30-22. But Georgia Tech, it was a somewhat close game, I guess, at the end. But now, really, they got shut down completely by the Notre Dame defense. So that was kind of the wrap up.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, just to make a few points on that too, Ron, I tell people all the time when I'm doing these write-ups and I'm pinpointing games that there are times when I don't call for action. There are times when the occasion calls for just sitting back and enjoying the game. And Ole Miss and Alabama was just one of those games that I had to watch from, the first opening frame till the final quarter, and I was beyond happy that I did so because it was just momentum swings. And just when you thought that Alabama was going to come back and perhaps make it a game, Ole Miss is just throwing dagger touchdowns, and Chad Kelly had a real good game. And that was a heavyweight battle, and we're not even into October yet. So that should just be a precursor to what to expect as the season goes on. And just to, I guess, finalize on the plays of the day, my big one did not hit with Utah State. And it's a play that I would probably play over again if I had the opportunity to do so. If I would have known that quarterback Chucky Keaton was limping on one leg and couldn't walk in a straight line without gimping, then maybe I would have reconsidered. But the offense did get back Hunter Sharp at wide receiver, and I really do believe that this unit's going to progress as the season goes on, and they could be a force to reckon with in the Mountain West. But aside from that, the other 4 plays, blemish-free, 4-0. We enjoyed 2 easy overs with East Carolina Navy and Southern Miss Texas State, both flying over the total in the third quarter. We had Louisiana Tech as an 11-point dog, nearly won outright, covered the whole game, seemingly in its entirety, and UConn Missouri under 40, which failed to see each team under double digits. So those easy ones are always the good ones. And guys, we're talking about plays of the days, and perhaps the records weren't flawless, but there are always good wins, and there's always good wins in the weekend. So let's go over the best bet of the weekend. Personally, for you guys, what was the easiest win on the board for you guys? Rome, we'll start with you this time.
For me, the easiest win, never in doubt, never in question, just in my mind. We got to start with Ole Miss. I loved it, pinpointed it right from the beginning, from last Wednesday. I saw money was coming in on Alabama all day on Saturday. We started at like 6 or 7, it ended up at like 11 or 12 or something crazy. I was just chilling. I was like, I'm going to keep that. Let's get that. And also for me too, BYU. BYU was a pretty, the game really kind of went just the way I thought it would. And Tanner Mangum, great poise for a first-year starting quarterback. BYU's defense held strong even in the Rose Bowl. And Josh Rosen, I mean, he didn't have a horrible game per se, but he's still going to have these freshman games where he's not gonna light it up. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had just tweeted that out too today, Rome. I had no idea why BYU was catching 17, even on the road in Pasadena to UCLA. I mean, you're talking about a team that had come in and won on 2 Hail Marys, so it wasn't necessarily like they were dominating opponents. But Boise State and Nebraska are 2 capable opponents, and to even overcome them with Hail Marys was a pretty nice feat. But 17 points, it's a lot of points to even be catching on the road. And like you mentioned to Rome, Josh Rosen, all the potential in the world. I'm sure he'll open up some eyes as the season progresses as well, as he already has. I mean, a few mishaps in the first half. Sure, the kid's young and playing up against one of the better. I mean, I wouldn't call them the better defenses, but BYU's usually has a nice core under Bronco Mendenhall, and they really force him into some tough throws early in the first half. Brian, how about you, man? What was the easiest bet of the weekend for you?
The easiest bets of the weekend would be the Fighting Driscolls of Louisiana Tech. Easy money. Should have won outright. Sure. And the other one would be the UMass Minutemen taking on Temple. I was huge on them. I think we talked about it briefly last week. They went in there, and besides botching an extra point, they should have won the game outright. So UMass, La Tech, I like to keep it small conferences from time to time. Those were some easy wins, and I love them. They both easily could have won outright. They covered the spread, no problem.
Yeah, it's nice when you have those double digits and you see it. You see that team lead in for much of the game. Definitely a nice security blanket to have. For me, it was the Southern Miss Texas State over. And this is a game, as much as I love doing trends and as much as I love doing research and statistical data, this was one that I really had no numbers to work off of. It was just a number that I liked, and I had done a few renditions for the Saturday Edge and FanRag Sports because I cover the Conference USA. So Southern Miss was one of the teams that I highlighted early in the year, and it had all the potential in the world, especially at wide receiver. It was returning a lot of players that they had from the offensive output in 2014. And I think that head coach, got him blanking out right here on Southern Miss, Todd Monken, it was his job to kind of take his unit and transform him into the Conference USA, the prototypical let's throw it around and not play any defense. And I think that's worked out well. And I wanted to say it was 24-22 heading into halftime. So it was, it's those no sweat games that really make Saturdays worthwhile and really just give you a warm feeling right in your heart. Am I wrong, guys?
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
Right now.
But let me tell you, the bad beats are just 115 times worse. So you deserve those ones that end up crossing the finish line before halftime gets there. So for as many bad beats as we'll have those easy ones as well. But let's get into these plays of the day, guys. We have another fresh slate, another fresh week for prospering. So who's started up? Who's given play of the day number one? Oh, I see you raising your hand, Rome. Go ahead. Start them up, man.
Just really quickly, I just wanted to, before I go any further, I just wanted to thank all you guys, anybody listening to the podcast, anybody following Sports DGens, all my junkies, all my DGens out there, all my guys and gals who just like to, watch games and just kind of bet for fun. Thank you for your support. Continue to stay tuned. We're gonna keep doing it bigger and better each week. So let's do this thing. So first game for me, play of the day. I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, please, let's get this. Pac-12, ladies and gentlemen, UCLA going on the road into Arizona. Zona is currently underdog, 3.5 points. Even before I found out today that Miles Jack is going to be gone for the season with a knee injury. I still like this game. I still like Arizona. I think that they have a lot of momentum. Again, this is going to be Josh Rosen's second road game. He beat UNLV pretty well, 35-3 or 38-3, somewhere along those lines, 2 weeks ago. But This is going to be a huge, huge test for UCLA. I mean, they've got a solid team. Obviously, they still have Paul Perkins. Still got a pretty good defense even without Jack. But Arizona is going to be fired up. They're going to want to make a statement in this game. This is going to open Pac-12 match or Pac-12 I believe, for both teams. So this is going to be a big, 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 big game for Arizona for the Wildcats. Bear down. Give me Arizona plus 3.5 at home.
Yeah, and huge implications already in the Pac-12. You look at Stanford, USC, Oregon, all with losses to start the season, and meanwhile Arizona State, Utah. A few of these teams are still blemish-free on the docket, and who knows how things are going to shake up in the Pac-12. The conference might not even get a playoff spot the way things are shaking out to be. I know you guys out west probably hate hearing that, but I'm just spitting the truth. Brian, go up, man.
Yeah, I'm. This is one. It might be kind of far-fetched, but I've been on them every week, and I know most people have been hesitant on them. Notre Dame looked great last week. They're still, in my opinion, missing their starting running back, missing their starting quarterback. I don't completely agree that they're going to be all that. You give me UMass plus 29. I'm going to take my chances that they don't lose by 4 touchdowns. I don't care if it's in Notre Dame. They got a look-ahead spot. I believe they have Clemson next week. Yep. Huge game on the road. Give me UMass plus 29. I think they have a great chance, if they're not in it the whole game, a great chance at a backdoor. Notre Dame's got a great defense. No hiding that. But that spread offense, I really do feel they can cover that 29.
Yeah, that's a really irregular matchup, having a MAC team come into South Bend, and UMass relies heavily on the tandem of Blake Frohnapple and Tajay Sharp. So that's one guy that you could pinpoint for Saturday to make some big plays for the Minutemen offense. For me, guys, I'm going with the Alabama UL Monroe under 55. I stated this yesterday, and while I was working on some data, Nick Saban's 10-0 to the under after a loss in the regular season since 2007. And frankly, I see this game going 2 ways. And you got to look, one is UL Monroe's talent level. Obviously, he's not going to be able to hang with Alabama. And the second thing is the Crimson Tide, not a team made for blowing people out, even a Sun Belt opponent. Still not really confident in the offense, whether it be Jay Coker or Cooper Bateman at the helm for the Crimson Tide. But I see this game starting off slow due to a potential hangover for Alabama. Obviously, when you have Ole Miss coming to Tuscaloosa last week at night, and now you have to drop off and play a Sun Belt team, the motivational factor there, I just don't see it. I can see this game starting off slow and gradually into the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, Alabama pull away. I'll say 41-6 Alabama, but my main play will be on the under at 55. So that's my top one for today, or for this weekend rather. And Rome, you're up with number 2.
Okay, guys. Number 2, and I know a couple guys wanted an analysis or a breakdown of this game. Before I even saw their requests for it, I had circled it, and I really love it. The game is going to be TCU, Texas Christian University, at Texas Tech. The game is in Lubbock. We have confirmed it. It's not at a neutral site. Currently, the Red Knights, the Black Knights, whatever, Texas Tech is getting plus 7.5. Guys, the over-under is set at like 80-something points. I'll tell you like this. I love the over, and originally the play was Texas Tech plus 7.5. Give me, these are 2 explosive offenses. You've seen what Cliff Kingsbury's been able to do thus far with this team, having them motivated with a big win at Arkansas last week. I think this is going to be another big statement game. Texas Christian this year has not been blowing people out like we thought that they would. Boykin's obviously special. He's going to look good. They also have lost some players on the defensive end. So I think Texas Tech is going to put up points. I think it's going to be tit for tat. Boom, score, and whoever scores last is probably going to win the game. And trust me, I love that plus 7.5. That is my second play.
Yeah, you made a really good point, Rome, in that the Texas Christian defense is just a pure debacle. If you look at the agenda for the Horned Frogs on defense last year, even in the bowl game versus Ole Miss, they were missing about 8 or 9 starters from that group going into Saturday. So you have a quarterback for Texas Tech and Patrick Mahomes, and then obviously you have Trevon Boykin. I mentioned to you this earlier, Rome. I don't think that this is a total that the odds makers can set high enough. So expect some fireworks. This is one of the better under the radar games going into Saturday. It might not be a prime time matchup or something that's going to be set on College Game Day, but you might want to tune into this one. Brian, go ahead.
I'm just going to say real quick, I completely agree with Rome on all this. I love points in that game, and I love Texas Tech to keep it within a touchdown. But I don't want to just, say that was that easy. So my second play of the game, or the day, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, under 55. This kind of plays into what Alex was saying about the Alabama having a hangover. Ole Miss is coming home. They just won a huge game. They got bigger games on schedule later this year with LSU and the rest of the SEC. Vanderbilt, they might look over. It might take them a quarter or two to really realize, whoa, crap, they actually can play some football once in a while. Both teams play great defense. Vanderbilt, surprisingly above average defense. Ole Miss, we saw what they did given Alabama scored. If it wasn't for the fourth quarter where they might have been laying up, who knows? Ole Miss defense is legit. They forced Alabama to 5 turnovers, for crying out loud. They can play defense. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, I could see Ole Miss winning this game 31-7, 31-14, something crazy. It's going to be under 55. I really love that under. Take the under as my second play of the day.
Yeah, I don't really think Vanderbilt can notch double digits points on that defense. I really don't. And it's a unit that loses Tony Connor at defensive back, but Trey Elston and DJ looks revamped. I mean, there's definitely the aura there, and even with the losses, like I mentioned, of Cody Pruitt and Sanquez Wilson, they looked tremendous last Saturday and really held the Crimson Tide in check, which was pretty outstanding. For me, my number 2 play is going to be Miami of Ohio plus 20.5 on the road at Western Kentucky. This for me, I don't like the spot that the Hilltoppers are in. They come off of a loss in Bloomington to Indiana. They open up conference play at Rice a week following, and Miami of Ohio found a little bit of success on offense last week for Cincinnati, putting up 33 points. And Cincinnati, the way that they play in their scheme is a mirror image of Western Kentucky. A team that likes to spread it out on offense, a team that has red flags on defense. And Jeff Brown last year, head coach for Western Kentucky, 2-3 against the spread after a loss in 2014. Nothing really to write home about, but he did find his club down or tied at half in 3 of those games last year. So I think this game could be a little bit closer than everyone expects. I don't like the spot for Western Kentucky with Rice coming up and conference play starting. So you look at the injuries for Western Kentucky too. Dangerfield still isn't healthy at wide receiver 100%. And wonderful Terry's still hurt, Leon Allen. So there's a lot of stuff that plays in this one, but mainly just don't like the spot. I'm going to grab the Redhawks plus 20.5. Rome.
Okay, so on to number 3. So this is another game that had been requested to look at, and before even the request, I was looking at it. And that is going to be Texas A&M at Arkansas. A&M is favored by 7 points. Sumlin and the gang are having I don't know quietly if you want to say that, but they're having a great season so far. They got rid of Kenny Thrill, and they got a good old boy now, or whoever it is running the show at quarterback, and he's doing a great job. Offense is explosive. They've got some talented wide receivers and just talented offensive pieces in general. Defensively, they're pretty solid as well. But guys, this is more so a play fading Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas last 2 weeks at home, they lost to Texas Tech last week. Week before that, I can't remember who it was. I could look it up, but it was a pretty Toledo, yeah, pretty surprising loss to a Toledo team that might be pretty strong. But I mean, come on, it's Brett Bielema. This is an Arkansas team last year that was, I mean, for lack of a better word, if you don't want to say dominant, very, very solid. Both offensively and defensively, putting up a lot of points. They had a trio, or not trio. They had a couple of really strong running backs last season. Anyways, I'm just after all this stuff with Bielema and with Kingsbury, in the media taking shots back and forth. I think Bielema he's just lost his team this year, and I mean this is gonna be the 3rd game in a row at home. A&M is favored by a touchdown. I'll tell you what, if you want to be safe, go ahead and maybe buy down to 6.5. I still like A&M to come in and just whoop that ass.
Yeah, you look at the team that had just everybody on the bandwagon in terms of the SEC. If it wasn't Auburn, it wasn't Alabama, it was Arkansas. And I think the loss to Jonathan Williams just really set that team back. And although he rushed for over 1,000 yards last year, you can't put all the pressure on Alex Collins at running back. So I agree. It's going to be hard to saddle up on the Brett Bielema train. So definitely justified in that one. So, Brian, go ahead and take your number 3, man.
And my third play of the day is strictly a spot play. As Mr. Alex would say, a trend play. I'm taking Eastern Michigan minus 2.5 at home against Army. It's ugly. I won't even watch the game. But Army on the road as a dog is just, as they say, dog poo. It's not good. Give me Eastern Michigan. They win this game by a touchdown at least. They looked strong last week if you watched them play. They'll play strong again this week. Army doesn't travel. They save themselves. They travel overseas. They don't travel on land here. Take Eastern Michigan minus 2.5.
All right. He has spoken. And Rome, just to kind of tinker with that Texas A&M Arkansas play, it is a neutral site game. They will not be in Arkansas. So
where are they?
That probably bodes better for you, getting the 6.5 or the 7. Am I right?
Yeah. Where is the game?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I feel like all these SEC and here, I'll tell you right now. They're playing in Champaign, wherever that is. Oh no, wait, no, that's Nebraska, Illinois. I'm just gonna say. I don't know. Covers doesn't have it up, but I could have swore that I remember there was a neutral site game. That's when he said Arkansas playing its 3rd straight home game. I was kind of like, well, I don't know if that's exactly right, but laying 6.5 at a neutral site rather than laying 6.5 or 7 on the road. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right, number 3 for me. Call it a spot play, call it whatever you want. I'm taking the Oklahoma State Cowboys team total under 33. Had to do a little research on my boy Charlie Strong, head coach for Texas last week, and boy is that program in disarray. Just getting torched by Jared Goff of Cal, and to the benefit of the Longhorns, Hurd has looked tremendous at quarterback and is definitely a step up above Tyrone Swoops. So, doing a little digging here on Strong, he is 8-2 against the spread after a home loss, and this dates back to 2010 when Strong took the helm at Louisville as well. Now, given those defenses were more well-equipped to stop offenses, more so than they are right now because Texas' defense is brutal. But luckily, they're going to be seeing a similar scheme as they did last week versus the Golden Bears. So give me the Texas Longhorns to step up this weekend on Saturday. Give me Oklahoma State. Give me the Pokes team total under 33.
Cool, Alex. I just want to tell you I love that just as a spot or a trend play. I mean, you want to talk about a gut-wrenching loss last week with Cal coming in. I mean, what a great game, first of all, obviously. I mean, I was rooting for Cal. I lost that game. I mean, bless this poor kid's heart, right? The guy, I mean, oh, man, I don't even want to think about
it. It really is indescribable. I mean, you sit there and everybody's thinking that this kid's just going to drill an extra point. I don't know how you live with yourself. I couldn't do it. I really couldn't step in that kid's shoes and walk around campus or show up to practice with, your head not hanging down into the ground. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is, but you do have one job.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
You got, I mean, it's a 15-yard field, 16-yard field goal. You got to make that to tie it up. You had all the momentum. You got to think that Texas is going into overtime with just a plethora of momentum. I mean, even Goff was standing in the sideline wondering what the hell was going on. He was dropping F-bombs, and his expression was pretty priceless. So, yeah, I mean, look for Charlie Strong to rally the troops. He has in the past, so I'll bank on it one more time, and if it doesn't happen, then I'll probably just throw up all over my cat.
All right, we'll have fun with that. Okay, so moving on, number 4. So guys, number 4 and 5 for me, really quickly. These are tread lightly on these. I'm not quite as confident, but at the same time, for Sports Degens, shout out. I have been covering Pac-12, and so I just wanted to talk about these 2 games really quickly. So first one is going to be California Golden Bears going up to Seattle to play the Huskies, the Washington Huskies. Correct me if I'm wrong, and guys, please go ahead and chime in. I believe Cal lost one of their starting running backs, or if not a starting running back, they lost a running back in last week's game to Texas, right?
The fact that Cal throws for 670 yards per game through the air, I don't pay attention to the running game as much as I do Goff and company. But actually, let me check right now.
Check it out. They still have a dope.
Daniel Lasco. Yeah, he's questionable for Saturday.
Okay, exactly. Yeah. Lasco and Muhammad have been a great 1-2 punch to keep the passing game churning. It keeps defenses honest. You gotta, if you don't respect the running game, then Goff is just gonna torch you and torch your secondary. So, believe it or not, Washington. I've been talking about Washington all year. From that first week, their defense is good this year, guys. Really, it is. And I know they lost a lot of talent from last year, but they're, especially in Seattle, they're going to be solid. That being said, a lot of this is going to depend on if Lasco plays. If he does play, he's probably going to be playing a little bit injured, but they might need him to play. As much as I'd say I want Cal to rebound and have a strong showing in Seattle, you know what, guys? Give me the Huskies in this one. Give me the Huskies plus 4.5. That's what they're getting at home. If nothing else, I can look at what the over/under number is.
61.5.
61.5. That's a pretty high number. I feel like it was a tough. They should have lost that game last week in Texas. They just escaped, off of a ridiculous play with a win. They're going to be motivated to go into Seattle, and I believe Cal is going to be starting their conference play as well. But something just tells me that Chris Peterson's going to have this Husky team ready again to hopefully have a big show up defensively. And the freshman quarterback Browning, he's been playing very well. He's very polished. He's poised. 4.5. You would think that Cal would be favored by at least 6.5, 7 in this game. So I just looking at the line. The line seems a little bit off to me. And I know that one of our followers, Benny in the Jets or JPG Jets or whatever it was. I'll look up your Twitter handle. I'll give you a proper shout out later. But he wanted to know. He thought the over/under line looked a little bit fishy on this one as well. It looked pretty high. So that being said, give me the Huskies at home.
Yeah, you make a really good point, Rome, in the total being high. It's always so hard to tell because of the discrepancy between Cal and Washington. You had a team in Cal that put up 45 the 70s versus a team in Washington that was sitting at around 44.5, 45 versus Utah State. So the books have to kind of find that middle and try and find that happy medium between teams. We're going to get into those in a little bit. Brian and I will give our takes, but for now, Brian, you're up. Hey, Brian.
Yeah, my next play of the day, I'm going back to the well. They burned me last week. I'm taking Kentucky -3.
Oh.
God,
what? What's going on?
Taking the 3. He's taking the 3.
I'm taking the 3. I know Missouri, everyone's saying they played so bad. Well, they did. They played horrible against the shitty team they played. Connecticut. They're a basketball school. Well, Kentucky's a basketball school too, damn it. But they're trying to be a football school, and I think they should have beat Florida last week. They wasted golden opportunities, but they showed one thing in that game, that they play good defense. And as long as they can get past that Florida hangover, they can definitely cover the 3 at home against Missouri.
Yeah, I was actually just glossing over the SEC network today, Brian, and they had a nice feature on Kentucky. And this is a team that I mentioned last week, too, that I was particularly high on coming into the season. They had a projected over/under win at 6, and I made a nice, maybe it was 7, 6.5 or 7. I made a really strong case for why I like the over. and it starts in the quarterback position with Patrick Tolles, and I think that he needs to light up the secondary for Missouri because nobody has yet, and I really want to see this Tigers defense exposed because I think that it has potential to just dismantle. And
There's holes all over it.
there really is, and I think Missouri just has yet to measure up with a team that can put the ball in the air and score. To be perfectly honest, and to make things short and sweet. So that'll be a good one. Kentucky and Missouri. If you would have said that a few years ago, it probably would have laughed in your face. But this should be a good one. Big Blue Nation should be fired up, and the fans there definitely have something to be excited about for sure. For me, my number 4 play is going to be the Navy midshipman, and I really don't like laying chalk on the road. You'll seldom find me laying chalk on the road, but I'm going to back the Service Academy. And if you guys noticed, what I did last week was I faded East Carolina coming off of a narrow loss in the swamp. Pirates had to revert back and prepare for the triple option, and Keenan Reynolds, quarterback from Navy, hung up 45 on East Carolina. So UConn falls in the exact same spot this week. UConn almost went into Columbus, or the Columbia, Missouri, and they almost edged Missouri. I mean, it came down to one of the last possessions of the game, if not the last possession. They held Missouri to 9 points. I mean, if it wasn't for a remedial offense, then UConn may have squeaked out a win there. So they lose by 3 points. They got to start conference play, and it starts with Keenan Reynolds and trying to prepare for the triple option. I'm going to take the team that has all the right pieces aligned right now, and that's going to be on the midshipman -6.5. And I know it's one of those game guys where I'm going to check the game cast, and it's going to be 7-0 UConn like for 3 minutes, and I'm going to remind myself why I don't play chalk like the midshipman. So let's wrap up play number 5. From your last one, man.
All right, guys. So just really quickly, game number 5. We're going to stay in the Pac-12. I'm looking at Utah coming into Oregon to play the Ducks. This is going to be an interesting game, guys. We, as you probably noticed, both of these teams suited up backup quarterbacks last week. We had Jeff Locke playing against Georgia State, or I believe it was Georgia State. He did a pretty good job. They still put up a lot of points. We had, I believe it was Kendall Thompson is the backup quarterback for Utah playing. I can't remember the name of the starting quarterback, but he was injured, obviously. So I don't even know who's. So again, guys, tread very lightly on this game. I just want to kind of give you my analysis. A lot of the final, decision is gonna depend on if Vernon Adams is going to come back and play. I don't think he is. I think we'll probably see Jeff Locke again. I think we'll probably see Kendall Thompson again this week too. So I'm assuming, I'm kind of basing this analysis on that we're going to see the 2 backup quarterbacks playing or starting again. So that being said, Utah's got a hell of a defense, and I think they're going to come in, and this is the opener of Pac-12 play for both of these teams. Both teams are 3-0. Or no, I'm sorry, no. Oregon is 2-1. They lost to Michigan State. So. Wow. Yeah, Oregon's going to be really hungry at home to get this important win, or else they'll be 2-2. You know what? I don't care. I really don't care about that. I still think Utah is really, really good defensively. I think they've got a stud running back, Devontae Booker, that they can lean on to run a lot of plays and do a lot of running. In fact, the more I think about it, I think that the under is a really solid play in this game as well, no matter how high the number is. And listen, guys. Call me crazy, call me whatever you want to call me. Just call me. But I'll take Utah on this one, guys. I'll take Utah.
Yeah, you made a good point about Devontae Booker. He's just a solid complement to a tenacious defense. A team that I had the luxury of covering versus my Wolverines in Week 1. That front four, they call themselves Sack Lake City. So I don't know if that's cool or not, but
it's the numbers 11 too.
It fits the description very nice because they led the nation in sacks last year. And looking at freshman wide receiver Britton Covey as well, another good playmaker to watch. That's the boy. I really like this. I don't know how long it's going to propel them into Pac-12 play. But I like where your head's at on that one, Rome. And I also love, and this is merely belittling you, but I love how you go, I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for each team, but let me give you my play of the day. Let me give you my number 5 play. I have no idea who's starting for either team, but let's get into play of the day number 5. I love it, dude. I sincerely love it. I mean, don't take that as me degrading you, but I think that's hysterical. You're the man. It was like last week when you said after my 7-minute rant on how I hated North Carolina and Illinois, you go guys. Well, you know, we just had to talk about this, but I'm looking at Illinois and North Carolina, and I'm just like, is this guy serious?
It would have been
Hey, but
better.
did Marquise Williams not perform or what?
Oh my God! It would have been better if I was like, guys, I love Illinois. Uh-oh.
Subtle thing in the world. I had literally just gotten done saying playing this team, but yeah, if there was any team that I don't like, it's North Carolina. And then you go, oh, all right, guys. Well, for my first play of the day, I know we just got done having a rant about them, and then I'm like, and I think I said in the background, I'm like, you're not playing the Illinois game, like Illinois at North Carolina, and then I'm just like, I'm done, I'm out, like I'm throwing in the towel. Man, that was too funny. Shades of Rome, too good, man. So you're closing it up with Utah. You know the Pac-12 will beat better than a lot of people do, so. Trusting your gut on that one. I like that play. I like the Utes a lot. And Brian, seal them up, my man. What's play number 5 looking like?
I just want to say I like Rome's play at Utah a lot, getting 11 points, double digits on the road or at home, whatever the fuck they're. Solid play. My 5th play was the midshipman. Absolutely love that play, but that's boring now because Mr. Alex gave that whole shenanigan about it. It's a great play. Love the midshipman. If you want a little extra, 5+ play of the day for fun, degenerate Friday night, take Virginia at home, getting 3 points. Friday night, under the lights, ESPN, Boise State's traveling. Give me Virginia with their strong defense. They're going to win the game outright. Take the +3, sleep.
I'm dying to see how Boise State performs without starting quarterback. And
yep. I agree.
It could be a
Virginia's defense is going to swallow them whole. It's going to be ugly. I might be wrong. I've been wrong many. I was 0-5 last week for crying out loud. But I just don't see how that offense against Virginia's defense in Virginia is going to make it work.
Yeah, and you look at head coach Mike London for UVA. He desperately needs a big win. I mean, that debacle versus Notre Dame could have really just made things a lot better for his position. So
yep.
I do like that play. And that reminds me, Brian, it's like, yeah, I was going to say maybe -6.5, but yeah, thanks a lot, Alex.
Yeah, for you, Alex.
Well, I was going to say maybe, but
What's the point in giving everybody the same plays? That's boring.
Hey, we have 15 total plays, but we only gave out 13.
14 people listen for an hour to get 15 plays, not 14.
They get. We're supposed to get 15 separate plays. All they got was 8. We had 3 of the same plays of the day. Yeah, that was my number 5 too.
Yeah, they already troll enough. I don't need to give them ammo.
No doubt about it, man. You know what? Yeah, just going off of your Utah game. Yeah,
I got opinions on all of them if you want to hear them.
I mean, even if that was the case, like you're telling me that you just couldn't come up with another play that you just had like a like for, just to throw a sentence out like, yeah, I like this team and the spot that they're in. But that's why we go through these before we start, just to make sure that we aren't all on the same page. But Rome, you're covering the Pac-12. I like to dabble in like Sun Belt and some other weird shit. And Brian, you're always taking Purdue and Colorado State and stuff. So. You're weird.
Hey, I don't want to talk about those right now, please.
That was your other play too. Was Purdue last weekend? I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, I just realized that hurt my sphincter quite a bit.
Oh man.
Oh man, guys, we're getting off track. Let's stop. Just kidding. This is so much fun. I'm gonna close this one out on the plays of the day. This is just the most boring non-flaunting, less gaudy, least gaudy paper. But I like the Iowa North Texas, and it's just based on I think Iowa has a huge advantage in the offensive trenches, and I think that they can put up 45 by themselves. If you look at North Texas last season back in 2014, head coach Dan McCarney, his opponent's team total over when he was playing on the road, 6-0 to the team total over for opponents. So I'm looking for Iowa to put up 40 or 45 themselves. I think if North Texas reaches double digits, then this one sails over the total. I'm going to say 44-16 Hawkeyes. There's something good going on in Des Moines, man. That team looks pretty decent. I mean, win versus Pitt, come back versus Iowa State to seal up that rivalry 2 weeks ago. Who knows? Who knows what's in store for this team? There's a lot of weird teams in the Big Ten that you really don't know what's going to happen with them once conference play starts, and Iowa tops that list. That is definitely up there. So, guys, we have our plays of the day set up. We'll reiterate them once more as the program closes tonight. But let's get to some of these rapid fire. We have dedicated, devoted followers who want to hear our input. So our boy Benny the Jet at BPG1134 gave us a list of games, and Rome, you had covered Cal and Washington down to a T. So we already know what you like in that game. You like Washington plus the 4.5 points. The total sitting at 61.5. Brian, do you have a take on Cal and Washington?
I'm a big fan of Jared Goff and Cal's offense, but after last week watching them just completely blow that game at Texas, I have to side with Rome and say take the points at home. Washington's defense is legit. They stop people. If you're gonna play the game, take Washington, get 4.5. Hopefully on game day it goes up higher.
Yeah, this will be the last weekend that I fade Washington, and it's primarily because they haven't faced a spread offense like Cal yet. Boise State, a team. I mean, Boise State's a weird team to me. Boise State's a team that has a lot of offensive production and a lot of pieces of the puzzle that are there, but I feel like sometimes they just don't utilize it. I feel like they run slower tempo that they should, and the scheme isn't built to spread them out 5 wide. They have a nice, solid, balanced rushing attack, complemented with nice play action and the occasional deep ball, trick play, whatever. But I think this is we'll see how good Chris Peterson's defense is against Jared Goff and Kenny Lawler and Bryce Treggs and the laundry list of receivers that he has. So I'll
be avoiding that game completely.
Yeah, I don't like anything about it, honestly. I hate playing just two total opposite teams. Cal likes to go tempo, relying on offense, and it's vice versa for Washington. So I really have no take on this game. I really don't. But Cal's on a 7-0 run to the team total over on the road, dating back to last year, averaging over 39 points per game. So if you're looking to get runs, yeah, no doubt about it. I just feel like this is the week where Cal could come down to earth. I mean, Jared Goff's listed as probable for Saturday. He's dealing with an ankle. Yeah, I find that so ticky-tacky to list somebody as probable or questionable just because of a minor plague to their ankle. I mean, whatever that means, I really don't know. I'm torn on this game, but if I'm playing one thing, I'm playing the under at 61.5. Okay. I think if Washington dictates this game, which I think they have a very good chance of doing, stays under, I'll say 30-27 Cal in a close one. In a close one. It's a very close one. UMass ND. This was another one. I'm glad somebody brought this game up because it's a nice under-the-radar game. You have Deshaun Kaiser leading the troops for the Irish, and you have Blake Frohnapple coming in from UMass. And frankly, I'm going to take the lead on this one. Notre Dame is giving 29 points, you said, Brian?
Yep, 29.
Correct. They're giving 29. You know what? I hate being so unprepared sometimes. But and the total's gone up to 59. I'm going to tell you right now, I love the under in this game. I watched UMass play all 4 quarters, every snap last week, and I was not impressed. And Brian, I know you love UMass this weekend. I know you love them. they're a one-trick pony. The Minutemen are a one-trick pony with Tajay Sharp. If you can cover Tajay Sharp at wide receiver, then it makes the defensive scheme a lot easier. I don't see how UMass can hang with Notre Dame in the trenches. And although this is a look-ahead spot for Notre Dame, and especially coming off a big win versus Georgia Tech at home, I'm thinking slow start. I'll say 38-13 Notre Dame. But I don't see how this is going to get out of hand where it's going to be a shootout. And I don't think that UMass can exchange scores with Notre Dame. I think this one is going to be played on the ground for Notre Dame, and I think they can totally give the Minutemen fits on offense. I watched Temple just destroy the Minutemen on the line. So I'll take the under in that game. That was one of the games that I highlighted in. So sorry for jumping the floodgates on that one. But if anybody has any input on UMass Notre Dame, please feel free to throw it my way.
I'm not. I'm just going to stay away from that game just in general. I just wanted to just really quickly going back to Benny the Jet. He had mentioned something about Rice playing Baylor. Big dogs. I think it's like 33 or more. They're huge dogs. I honestly like Baylor just to crush Rice. I think it's an in-state rivalry. I just wanted to. I'm not going to give it out as a pick, but I just like Baylor to steamroll in that one. And then also just really quickly, kind of rapid fire. Sorry, I just wanted to throw out what is it? The Buffalo game. Buffalo's playing at home. I believe it is Reno, or it's Nevada going on the road to play. Give me the over in that game. It's the line set at 56. I'd like there to be a lot of points in that game, so just give me the over on that real quick.
Awesome. Yeah, you mentioned that Rice Baylor game too, Rowan. 34.5. Totals in the low 74 right now. And Baylor last year was just a tremendous first half team to bet on. I mean, they were the Bears were steamrolling opponents in the first half. I mean, before you knew it was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. And Baylor was a huge cash cow for some of these, recreational bettors. But for me, I can never find a groove on Baylor. It's either 52-35 and I have the under, or I double back up on the over and they win 40-0. It's really it's hard to tell. They're almost like a Jekyll and Hyde. You never know if their defense is going to step up, and they could throw up 60 to 70 points a game at will. So I'm actually laying off that game. If anything, I'm leaning towards the first half under. I think it could be a feeling out process to start, but I look for Baylor's defense to rise to the occasion this one. Rice has a nice quarterback with Jervis Jackson, but I think this one is going to go under the total.
Alex, I just wanted to pick up on what you said there with the first half play. I honestly think Baylor could score like 34-38 just by themselves in the first half. So whatever that first half number is, that could be a solid play too. Look to potentially take Baylor to cover in the first half.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, it's just so hard for me because Baylor, and it's so frustrating when you take a Baylor over because of its capability, and they're failing to put any points up on the scoreboard. One of the more frustrating things, and a couple of SEC matchups before we let the viewers go. Florida and Tennessee, I really have no plan. I'm not an SEC connoisseur. I don't like to touch a lot of those games. The Florida Gators just lost their starting cornerback to a weed incident, if I'm not mistaken. So he'll be suspended for Saturday's game. If anything, I'm leaning the under in this one. Butch Jones and Tennessee are 8-2 to the team total under on the road, dating back to 13. So give me the under on this one. I don't see too many points being scored. If you have any take on that one, Rums.
This is the Tennessee-Florida game?
Yes.
I was looking at it. Obviously Tennessee played really well. They covered last week. This is on the road. It's in Florida, I believe. I'm not going to touch it personally. If anything, I would lean Tennessee though.
Yeah, it's hard not to like those. Not a huge number, but Tennessee as a dog on the road. How the Vols trying to get back after that conundrum that happened at home versus Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. you have to suspect that Butch Jones is going to rally the troops and hopefully rise to the occasion to avoid a complete collapse, honestly, to start 2015, because this team had high hopes coming in. So if it doesn't win 8 or 9 games, then it'll be a mere disappointment. And then to finish up, UK and Missouri. Brian had mentioned this game. He likes Kentucky. Once again, I think it starts with Patrick Tolles, and I think that he can have a nice game versus Missouri. He's a guy that's pretty much in the logjam of SEC quarterbacks. He's not in the upper echelon, but he can make the nice throws when he needs to. He's comfortable in the pocket. Missouri's main priority is going to be to get him out of the pocket and try to force errors. And frankly, I think they can do that, but I'm leaning the under on this one. And it's a square play. It really is, because both teams have. You saw what happened last week. Kentucky lost 14-9, and UConn Missouri was a 9-6 final. So give me the under. I think that slow pace, nice defensive matchup could be in the works for Saturday.
I like it. And then, guys, just really quickly, I just wanted to, again, we've been talking about some of the followers that have been reaching out to us. Benny the Jet, it's at BPG1134. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the pod today. Dark Match, my guy. He's in our he's in a couple fantasy leagues with us, and he's just a great guy.
Personality.
Great personality to kind of have in the mix. Always making things interesting. So I just want to give him a special shout out. We got Executive Jizz Mopper, which I believe is at Steve Masterson. One. He was asking about the Mizzou Kentucky game, so hopefully we covered enough of that for you. We got hand jobs for Ewoks. That's at Joe Bo.
Joe Boo.
Spelled Joe Boo.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Anyways, just thanks for being interacting, being part of it, and of course at Dan Carbon, who I believe is that the infamous Carbon Bets, or is that not?
Tis
the infamous.
Unfortunately, yes, we have yet to unmask the. I don't even know what you want to call him. I really don't. He's one of a kind, man.
One of a kind. Anyways, guys, listen.
He's
guys,
one of a kind. So.
Oh, and also at the Spin Zone, Lauren. We were talking about it a little bit. Lauren with the soft J, Joff, Yaffy, whatever, jogging, who knows. But anyways, we really appreciate all you guys' interactions and just checking it out. So yeah, stay tuned, and let's keep making it bigger and better.
Yeah, guys, thanks very much for tuning into week 4 of Talkin' Chalk. I sincerely, and as the guys do as well, appreciate your guys' input, and most of all, just your attention and your enthusiasm when it comes to talking sports and obviously the betting aspect of it. So signing out, I am Alex Kaloje with my boy Rome at the Sports to Gens. Talkin' Chalk week 5 will be set up next Wednesday, be available next Thursday. So enjoy your guys' weekend. Have a safe one. God bless, and we'll be back next weekend.